I got a real question, y'all. What really took place on January 6th? Well, we got our guy, Isaac Thomas, one of the victims that was there, that was placed in jail for 4 years for simply just being out there and enjoying the experience. He is here to tell his side of the story, coming straight from Dave Bondi's page, y'all, keeping it real. Okay. So we finna dive into the video and listen to what he has to say after 4 years of being locked up and innocent. Let's dive into this video.
Isaac Thomas joining me right now, and you actually got some good news from President Trump and his team a short time ago. What did you hear?
Yeah, hey Dave, thank you for having me on tonight. It's a real blessing. So about a little over an hour ago, my attorney in my January 6th federal case received a call from President Trump's team, letting him know that my name was added to the pardon list. And here, just about less than 10 minutes ago, President Trump on live TV signed the pardon documents. My understanding is he's pardoned almost every one of the January 6th defendants, and then
As he
other ones
should.
got a different type of pardon, exception of a few.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on the screen right now. I got a picture. This was him just moments ago. Yeah, he signed it. He said there was over 1,500. This is a picture of him in the Oval Office signing the executive action. Now, I remember your story from, a few years ago, and you've gone through a lot. This is a picture of you that they put out everywhere in the media. That was you, what, outside the Capitol?
Yeah, that was me standing there that day on January 6th. And, I've been accused of a lot of stuff as well as other January 6th defendants. The mainstream has really drug our name through the dirt. They've accused us of insurrection despite nobody being charged with insurrection. There was nobody charged there that day that had weapons on the Capitol grounds. There wasn't a single one. People that day did not show up to overthrow the government. They showed up to peacefully protest.
Yeah. Did you have a weapon with you?
I did not. I was accused of assaulting an officer with a deadly weapon, which they said was a plastic flagpole. However, there was no officer, even 3 years after January 6th, there has still to this day been no officer that has came forward and said that I assaulted them. There's not a single one that's been listed. My attorney hasn't been able to figure it out either. Very awkward.
Justice needs to be served for all these innocent people. Keynote, he had no weapon at all. They stated that this man had a plastic flag and was using it against an officer there. But no officer came through at all to testify to say that even happened. So you sitting in jail for these years and you're innocent. Justice needs to be served for all these people.
Did you assault an officer?
No, Dave, I did not assault anyone that day. And honestly, I don't support the violence. But what happened that day was the police attacked the crowd that day, and the crowd had a chain reaction. People were standing there like they do at hundreds of President Trump's other rallies. Hundreds of elderly women and children stood there at the Capitol that day. And then the Capitol Police, without warning, launched smoke bombs and rubber bullets and mace into the crowd that caused people to fight back. Throughout them launching those attacks, they murdered 4 protesters. Dave Bondi.
4.
They murdered Ashley Babbitt, was an unarmed Air Force veteran who was shot in the face. Roseanne Boylan was beaten with a baton by Officer Lila Morris repeatedly as she was bloody and unconscious on the ground. They continued to beat her. And then Kevin Greason and Benjamin Phillips both had medical emergencies after the smoke bombs landed right next to them, the flashbang grenades.
I want to show you. This is what they sent to the media January 31st, 2023. A defendant swung a flagpole at police. I guess they're talking about you right there. So they're saying you swung it at police. So what were you were you convicted of in the end? That's what they say you're charged with. What did they convict you of?
So Dave, I was never convicted. I still have not been given my day in court 2 years after I was charged. I
Wow.
was charged on January 25th of 2023. Now, mind you, I want to give some reminders, Dave. One of the reasons the media didn't want me to talk to you before was because of my experience in foster care. I believe that the state of Michigan trafficked me and other kids as they doped us up in the foster care system with pharmaceuticals.
Wow.
They beat us and raped us and even broke my arm. That's why I got involved in politics in the first place. And way before January 6th, that's why I got involved. Just 8 months before J6, I lost my mother from fentanyl. That's why since I went down there, the same fentanyl come over our border. So I went down there to protest and to try to speak up. I was peaceful. I had no idea that things were going to go the way they did. And I was charged. I was put in pretrial confinement. In other words, I hadn't been convicted, but pretrial confinement in Washington, D.C. I had to travel across the country at 20 years old to head down there and spend 7 months in jail. 4 of those months were in solitary confinement. Were
you in the jail with the others as well?
I got to be in there with the Proud Boys, which are the most notorious. They got a 22-year sentence. Enrique Tario, the head of the Proud Boys, he's also has been pardoned today. I got to spend time with many of these people, and I'll tell you, Dave, they're not what you hear on the news. Many of these guys are Christians. They're elderly men and women who love our country. They don't hate the left, but they do want to see our children and our communities protected from the violence we've seen happening in the last couple of years under the
crazy.
So I'm shocked. You were charged in January of 2023. You still have not had a sentence yet?
I haven't even been convicted. I'm planning to go to trial. They've offered me 2 plea deals where they've offered to drop 11 of my 12 charges if I just take one charge. And the second plea deal was offered. It was a very good one right the day before the election. They offered this to me just a couple months ago. And thank God I had faith in the Lord and I decided not to take that. Because the ones who've already been convicted, President Trump's pardon, some of them will still have a record if they've been convicted. All it does is commute the sentence. But for myself and many of us, and including the ones who got a pardon of innocence, they will not have a record. These crimes will be totally wiped out.
How did you spent 7 months in that jail? How were you able to get out?
I have a very good attorney, and again, by the grace of God, one of the men that was down there in the jail with me, his name is Jake Lang. He's been in there 4.5 years without a trial. He's 28 years old. He's been in there since January 6th without a trial. He's been moved 17 times by the Biden's DOJ from different jails all across the country. That man, his father is a little more wealthy, and so he had a good attorney for that man. And during our time in solitary, he would come, Jake Lang would come to my slot, and my cell is about this wide. They'd hand us our food to it.
Right.
Because you spend 23 hours in the cell. You only get 1 hour out.
Oof.
But they'd hand you your lunch and breakfast to this little slot. Well, when they would let Jake out for his hour, he would come to that slot and would pray with me through these prison doors here. And throughout that, he was able to help me retain the same attorney that he has, Stephen Metcalf, who did an amazing job defending me. It took him filing 3 times for them to be able to go and get my bond approved. And part of the condition, Dave, which is very interesting, part of the condition of my bond was that I had to attend a drug abuse program for marijuana use that I have a medical card for. And they sent me to Sacred Heart here in Flint, Michigan only for 2 sessions that I was mandated to go to. But here's an interesting fact, Dave. Sacred Heart was the methadone clinic that my own mother had to go to. So it kind of shows you how evil this whole system was and how none of it was an accident.
Man.
Were you even charged with a drug crime?
No, I was never charged with that. It was a part of the bond. They wanted to make sure that when I got back out of jail, I would not use marijuana. The most ridiculous thing that you could see, I mean, it really was political persecution they were finding any reason they could. I was evicted from my home and didn't have an address that I could use for my bond. That was why my bond was revoked the first time.
Wow.
Because I could no longer afford to pay my rent because I lost my job and my family and my car and my house and everything I had. I was 18 years old when I went there on January 6th. I turned 18 that October. I casted my first vote for President Trump that November, and then I went there to the foster care system, down there to the protest that January. Now, real quick, Dave, that December, in between those months, right before J6, not even a month before, I settled a lawsuit for the foster care placement that broke my arm.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Dave, before that, I didn't even have a car to drive down to DC. So I really believe that God intervened in this. I settled this lawsuit, and then I head down for my first political rally in DC, and this happens, and it was 3 years of hell. But I'll tell you what, Dave, God seen it through, and I give all the credit to Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and Savior, and He is so faithful. And when you guys are going through hard times, for the viewers, when you guys have a life-altering situation, whether it be losing a family member or friend or going through a case like this, whatever it is, just know that God always has a plan for those who trust in Him. And He has used it to make me stronger and to bring me closer to Him than I've ever been. And it's also allowed me to really have even a much larger platform to continue speaking up for the foster care abuse I experienced. So that's the view moving forward.
What do you have to say to President Trump if he were to hear this tonight?
Well, I want to say thank you very much, President Trump. We stood by your side and stood up for you. And today you kept your promise. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm even more grateful for all of my brothers and sisters that I got to meet throughout this, who are no longer rotting in jail under a too tired, politicized justice system.
Do you regret anything? Like even going to Washington that day?
Well, the thing is, Dave, you would think that after losing everything that I have, you would think that I would be, a lot of people ask me that I would be, I would be very careful next time. No, not at all, Steve, or not at all, Dave. I'm very grateful for this, God taking this battle and using it the way He has. Now, at the beginning of this, I might not have been able to say that. But now coming out of this, and even before the pardon, I've been telling people that God has used this to really bring me closer to Him. So I wouldn't change a single thing. I would do it all over again a million times.
So I'm reading, and this is from the government, the court documents. They say you were violent. I mean, are you claiming you weren't?
Well, that's correct. They said that I assaulted an officer. There was no officer that claimed I assaulted them. There was no officer listed. There was no video or evidence. ABC 12 really doesn't like me, and they couldn't even provide a video or any evidence of that. They showed pictures of me standing there, and then they show a picture of what looks like somebody's arm swinging a flagpole, but in that picture, they conveniently cut it out right at the elbow. So, they don't have any evidence of me assaulting anyone. It didn't happen. That's
Day in court though yet, right?
correct. I still haven't went to trial. So as of right now, I'm still innocent, and this pardon was granted, which means they won't be able to charge me again. And I will not have any record or any conviction with this charge.
Were you able to even vote in the last election? Yeah, you were able to vote.
Yeah, I was. Since I wasn't convicted, I was able to vote. This was my second time getting to vote in a presidential election. Vote for President Trump.
So I got to be honest, because there's going to be people that will see this and be like, you're a felon. You're a horrible person. Would you have done the same thing, like held the flagpole, done the same thing that day? Would you have done something different?
Well, no, I think that here's the thing. I mean, that we can say that for a lot of the protesters is what would they have done differently? But really what we need to ask is, what would the Capitol Police have done differently? Had they have not have attacked the crowd, nobody in the crowd would have had to fought back. And there wouldn't have been the situation that unfolded. So I am very proud that I exercised my First Amendment right to peacefully protest. I do not condone any sort of violence, of course. I want people to be peaceful. But again, this was one of the worst examples. As much as I back the blue and I love our police, this was one of the worst examples of police brutality and misconduct.
So there was violence by people that day, correct?
Yeah. The first violence was initiated when the officers began releasing smoke grenades, flash.
So that's what started it. So
it started.
So you're saying, and your lawyer probably said that the action, you're saying, not me, the actions of the police basically got the crowd going.
Yes. That is what happened that day.
Okay. Wow. So, yeah, I mean, you're not afraid to talk to me and speak up. Why not? What do you think people can learn from this?
Well, not at all. And like you said, they call us, racist and sexist and all these things. Listen, this has nothing to do with any of that. Okay. We love our country. We have no issue against anyone that is a minority or anyone that is homosexual. Any of that stuff that they've said in me in these articles are totally false. I went to a protest on January 6th, and then all of a sudden this happened. People began, the mainstream media, the same mainstream media that you were able to get free from, Dave, that same mainstream media posted all of us as these evil white supremacists who went to overthrow the government. It was not true. These people are good people. A lot of them are Christians. A lot of them are elderly. We have 80-year-olds that have been sentenced to 9 years in prison. It is absolutely
Dang.
disgusting and politicized. Shouldn't have happened. At the very most, there should have been a couple of fines for people who maybe got a little too rowdy. Other than that, there shouldn't have been any charges against these people, and they shouldn't have attacked the crowd. That's what would have stopped the violence.
So tonight, you feel a little a weight off your shoulders, kind of?
Oh yeah, I do. And again, I'm very thankful to God for this. He's really the one to give the credit to. Donald Trump is great, but at the end of the day, he's a man. Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, and I give all the credit to him.
Yes.
He's the only reason we were able to get Trump back in office.
Wow.
Thank you for talking. I thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. I just want to encourage everyone as I get off here to be bold and brave, to go out here and speak the truth. Don't worry about being called names or that. Speak the truth that you know.
Man, y'all.
A rapper and activist.
That is crazy.
Isaac Thomas.
That is crazy. That is crazy. He was 18 when this went down. Going out there, and then this happens. And as y'all hear who started the situation, not only that, they sent him to the same place that his mother joined. Like, how evil is that? Not only that, y'all, there's other innocent people. He's at age 80 that's been in here 7 months, not convicted, just sitting in there. For them to come up with something, then they sit here and they write all this crazy stuff. So they terrorize their character. They put them in solitary confinement, which is not so much room. Like, y'all, these people need justice. Although Trump pardoned them, they may all need therapy and everything, because some of these people, like you said, are Christians and stuff. They ain't never been in a situation like this. They're literally going out, and I've been to a Trump rally, and the final rally and stuff like that, and it's peaceful. So something which he said that day took place in order for the chaos and all that to break out. And you see they cropped and all that. You got people believing that this man right here is really, you know what I'm saying, out here doing this stuff, and this whole time he's in there peacefully. This is crazy. This is crazy, and it's sad. It just goes to show you how screwed up the system was under the Biden and Harris administration. Now, you sit here and you watch this video and take what you want to take from it, but this is the actual witness who was there, and this is his story finally after long years of sitting and not being able to talk. It's about to be more coming out and telling their story. And we are here for it. And then you got to ask yourself at some point, to make it all try to make sense. Either you can sit here and believe what the media feeds you, or you can find out for yourself. It's your choice. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, kicking it with your girl. Y'all, let's go ahead and chop it up in the comment section. What are y'all thoughts? Crazy, right?